YouTube, how's it going? The Goat House is back, and today I'm going to break down some contracts from free agency. A lot of people kind of, getting carried away or, kind of just looking at the first year cap hit and kind of applauding teams, front offices on the contract as a whole just because the cap hit is small. I think that's definitely wrong. We're going to take a look at some. I haven't even looked at the full contract details on a lot of these guys. We're going to take a look at some of these contracts and what they mean now, what they mean in the future in terms of cap hits, when they can get out of these deals. We're going to learn a lot today, and we'll see how this video does. See if it ends up being popular. We can make another one and talk about contracts that we didn't get to. But yeah, please subscribe to the channel. NFL draft content around the corner. Got a lot planned for draft season. Really excited for that. Bunch of free agency videos, full NFL coverage. So subscribe, smash that like button. Follow us on Twitter. Check out all those links that are pinned in the comments here. Yeah, I posted this a little bit ago on Twitter. I'm kind of zoomed in here, so don't mind that. But basically what I was going to do, and then ask you guys to comment here. Let's see if I got some updated comments. There's some I kind of had in mind that I want to look out for. So Trent Williams, yeah, I saw that comment already, so I pulled Trent Williams up. Let's see, I added a little extension here to my browser. This is all new to me. Yeah, I can mark some things up here. Okay, so Trent Williams, using this website called SpotRack, S-P-O. I don't think it's showing up on the screen. S-P-O-T-R-A-C. I'll pin a link in the comments. Makes this very easy for me. They kind of just have the contracts in kind of a... It looks clean. It looks nice and clean right here, right in front of us. So that it helps. It saves me some time here, doing all the math and putting it on the screen in graphic form. So here you see the Trent Williams contract with the 49ers. Pretty big contract. You see right here, 6-year, 138, giant contract. Cap hit this year is only $8.226 million. So that is how much cap this year the 49ers lose. Obviously, this is, base salary plus signing bonus plus roster bonus equals the cap hit. That's how that works. Dead cap's not going to matter in year one because, you're paying them anyway. So the dead cap is just not going to matter. Looking at year two, you see, there's my circling jobs. Not too good. First time using this. $14.12 million cap hit, which isn't bad. He got how many, $23 million per year. So that's not bad, but what we really want to look at here is he does have a $32 million cap hit, dead cap, excuse me. Not worried about that really in 2022. The way I look at dead cap is if a player is cut, that's how much they lose out on signing. But only a cap hit of $14 million, but dead cap of 32, you would lose the difference there. But then you look at, try to give you a better example. 2023, he's got a pretty big cap hit here as a better circle. 26.27 cap hit in the 49ers in 2023. Dead cap of 19.26. So what is that? 7 million difference, 7.01. If the 49ers cut him then before that season, 2023, they would clear the difference. They would clear the difference there. So you wouldn't clear the full 26 because of that dead cap there at 19.26. So you would clear, what did I say? Just over 7 million. You're missing out on clearing this number. That's the way I look at dead cap. A lot of people are like, I think with the Carson Wentz thing, Carson Wentz deal, the Eagles got this much in dead cap, or they lost that much money. It didn't actually get that cap space taken away from them. That's just what they can't save by moving on. Obviously not a good situation, not as bad as people made it out to be. So they're basically saying it's a potential 3-year deal. They can kind of get out of it there. You can save a lot more, and you can save a ton more there. So this could end up being through 2023. You still don't save a whole bunch here in 2024. So I think it could be a 4-year deal we can look at. 2026, no dead cap. See, there's nothing there, nothing. So you would save the full $33 million there. So that's what that means with this contract. And here's all the bonuses, of course. And seen a lot of restructures this year, and you could restructure deals along the way, but that would just push dead cap. That would push cap hits back. So, if this was just too big for them here in 2023, they can restructure. They can drop this number right here. That's how you restructure. You drop that 19.4 down to the veteran minimum, whatever it will be in 2023. Right now it is 1.075 million. You drop it down there. The difference gets divided up through these years. Forget the 2027. Divided up, added to the bonus here. But the problem with that is that you would just stack more dead cap on these years right here, and that makes it even more. So I don't really think it's a restructable contract unless you create void years down the line and you're paying some solid cap hits for quite a long time here. But overall, this is it's an interesting contract. It's not bad at all. These are pretty big cap hits. When I think they're going to for sure have them still. They'll be hit with that cap hit. So that's pretty rough in 2023. That 2024 is pretty tough as well, if they want to keep him. So there are some big cap hits there. How does this work? Here we go. Moving on, somebody asked me to talk about William Jackson. So, I haven't looked at this one yet. I know most of the cap hits for this year, on the top of my head here. Let's get my drawings back up. So, it's only a 6 points, 3-year, $40.5 million, 6.65 cap hit to save Washington a little more money. He's got, some big cap hits in the back 2 years, though. You see the cap hit is $16 million there, and then 2023 is $17.75 million. We 100% assume he's going to be on the team through 2022. Heading into 2023, though, if you do cut him, you would save the difference there. You would, what is that, $12.75 million? You would clear. But that would mean you would only have him for 2 years then, so that wouldn't look like the best deal here in free agency. So, you could restructure. You can't do a simple restructure to a guy with 1 year left. So if we got to 2023, you'd have to create extra void years, down here in 2024. I don't know what I'm drawing right now. And you would kind of space that difference, again, drop that base salary to whatever the veterans minimum is then and space it out. But, pretty big. So that's why I don't know if specifically Washington fans did this, but I see a lot of fan bases. They see just an example here. William Jackson, 6.65 cap hit in 2021. Clap it up. I see a lot of people doing that, but then they don't realize the giant cap hits here. These are pretty big cap hits in the next 2 years. So it's a lot invested towards a cornerback. I do like William Jackson. I feel like, he is 28, but I feel like he does have some upside here. But if he's not playing to where you would like him to be, you can clear $6 million in 2022. Before 2022, that would only make it a 1 year deal. And the same thing with a little more clearance in 2023. So that's kind of the. I don't know. I don't think Washington really needed to do this. That's the thing. I really liked what Washington did. So that's what we learn a lot. I'm learning stuff myself here from looking at these contracts. I like the signing. I've liked what Washington done. They have done. They added William Jackson, Curtis Samuel. They can focus on, if they have the opportunity, quarterback of the future, but they could focus on left tackle perhaps, maybe another linebacker because they're a pretty solid roster. So I like the angle. They got better. I like what they did. But it was a team with cap space. Did you have to put yourself in the situation in the future? Couldn't you didn't really need to backload the contract, in my opinion. Maybe their thinking is we're going to be set these years because they do have a good young football team, pretty close to complete. But what if by some chance that they're able to find a veteran quarterback, trade for whatever, but it's going to be costly, and they don't have the cap space because of that. That's kind of the tough part. That's kind of the downside of what Washington did here. I don't know if it was really necessary for them to backload it that much. I understand a little bit, but that much. Somebody told me to take a look at John Johnson's contract. This is a pretty good contract at first glance. Let's see what it looks like now when we see the full details. So the Browns, look like they backloaded as well. $5.25 million cap it this year, so not too much of a hit. They went and got Troy Hill. They went and made some moves. They're still looking at guys like Jadeveon Clowney. So they could spend that money. Do they really need to backload it? Let's take a look. This is a pretty good cap hit there. That's right around what he gets average per year. It's definitely worth it for John Johnson here. And then you look at, Yeah, I mean, this is kind of a good and a bad thing in a way. Overall, contract-wise, is a good thing in 2023 because, if you don't want to pay that $7.125 million, you can ask to take a pay cut. Unlikely, you can create void years and restructure, in the future, or you can cut him and save the difference, 17.125 minus 4 there, so 13.125. But then that's good, but then the bad news is, you just signed a pretty good safety for 2 years then only if you're cutting them, so... again, the good is you're not really locked in here. There's only $4 million dead cap. But there's really nothing. I don't think it's going to hurt the team too much here. I mean, that's a pretty big cap hit, but looking at 2022, I don't think they could have. I mean, there was a reason they did the 5.25 cap hit this year. I don't know if they needed to backload it that much. A lot of teams did this. I'm not going to get on the Browns about it because they're making other moves. But there's other teams that did things like this because they expected to make other moves and spend now. That's the risk, Teams that restructured contracts, you do that so you can make moves now to win now. And if you didn't make the moves now, if you missed on making the moves right now, you just push cap hits to future for nothing, so it's bad. It's a major fail. A lot of teams, not the Browns, I just happen to think of this, right now. A lot of teams this year failed on that. So pretty rough there. Anybody else comment with Damian Williams? I don't know the contract details. Those aren't even released yet. Okay, so pretty much the same comments here. We can pull up some other ones. We can pull up Bud Dupree. Let me just throw up a bunch of these. Kenny Galladay is definitely going to be interesting because I know he had a small cap hit. Let's take a look at these here. Bud Dupree with the Titans. I like that signing, but we'll take a look at the full details, which I haven't looked at yet. Long contract. We have a 5.12 cap hit in the first year, so the Titans were able to make some more moves. Dead cap really won't matter in the first year because he's going to be on the team. 2022, that's a pretty big cap. I mean, he's a pass rusher. He's a top-end pass rusher, so actually that kind of makes sense. The 19. Because what did he get? 16 million per year, or what is 16.5 million per year, which I thought was a pretty good deal for him. I thought he can get around 18 million. So you see these cap hits these year are around that range. So thinking pass rusher, as long as he works out, as long as he's not disappointing here. I think that's on the Titans. With the defense they run, they kind of drop. They only rush 3 sometimes. You got the pass rushers now. Rush more than 3, please. And then I think it'll work out. So, this was interesting how it worked out here because it feels like they backloaded it once you see that number. And it's really not backloaded because these 4 years right here are pretty even. And it looks like, essentially, they're agreeing with that too. Essentially, it could be a 2-year deal. So if he's not playing well, he can get out of it. 20 year, 20.2 minus 9.6. That's what they clear. It's not obviously, it's not ideal because you have 9.6 in dead cap, but you clear money. And then you got a lot of potential savings here. So Titans did a good job. I think, this is the best contract that we've seen so far from the big boys here. I think it's a lot of money. Pass rushers cost a lot of money. But you would think of 5. You see the Trent Williams one, they're locked in a little longer. It's a long deal, but they're locked in a little longer, in my opinion, compared to the Titans. The Titans only locked in for 2 years, but, if he's a good player, you don't want to only be a 2-year deal, but you have the 5-year deal there with reasonable cap hits that it's not spread out crazy. I actually like that one. That one looks pretty good for the Titans. It's expensive, but it's going to be expensive. Joe Tooney, the Chiefs pretty much had no choice. Let's get this back up. Chiefs pretty much had no choice but to backload this one, if I'm not mistaken. 4.5 in the first year. These are some pretty big cap hits for guards. These are for a guard. This is a pretty big cap hits right here. Looking over this. I mean, you could save, though, right here. If it's not working out, I'd imagine it's working out. You can save $8.7 million this year. I guess it's somewhat similar to the Bud Dupree one where it's You would think it'd be backloaded after looking at this, but it ends up being pretty consistent there. Even the problem is those are pretty large cap hits for a guard, very much so. But again, you can kind of get out of it down here if you want to. Here's the problem though. People will kind of say, well, we could just keep restructuring, but it seems like the Chiefs where they're going to be thin on cap space. But if they take this cap hit down, this one, and again, how to restructure, you drop the base salary down. I just blocked it off. You drop the base salary down to the veterans minimum. So yeah, this year it's just over 1 million, 1.075. So you take 13.9. It's all the way down to 1.75, excuse me. And that difference that you saved will be split up in evenly in the year that you restructured still. So you'll add more on top of that 1.075 and spread out through the other years. But you're going to spread it out through the other years. So that means this increases right here. That means this increases. I don't know what just happened there. But yeah, so it's really not ideal contract to restructure. Pretty beefy for a guard here. Pretty beefy. Kenny Golladay, really want to look at this one. Yeah. I like Kenny Golladay overall, big impact signing, but now that I'm looking at it, very small. And this was one I saw a lot of. The cap hit came out 4.65, and everyone, round of applause for Gettleman. And I see that a lot this year, the year of the cap hit. But you're only worrying about this year cap hit. What about the future though? What about the future? Those are some giant cap hits for a wide receiver, and they added a void year. This is a void year right here, so he's not actually. That's what a void year looks like on a contract. You see, it's the same year he's a free agent right here. Free agent right there. I'm circling everything possible. Having a lot of fun with this. So he's not actually playing for this year, but they're paying. They get a 3.4 million dead cap, because they created a void year. They wanted to push some of this back. They wanted to save so bad in this year, so bad that they can get a Dory Jackson, pay him a lot of money, get some of these other small guys, that they did that. And even with the void year, they are still paying $21.4 million in these years. It's kind of rough. That's actually kind of rough. Big fan of Kenny Golladay, big impact signing. This one could be rough. If he's not working out, right here, you save some money. You're still going to be paying some dead cap through these years right here. But it's not ideal if it ends up only being a 2-year deal. You just spent all that, have all that dead cap for that. The Giants are going to have some serious cap hits in the future there. Some serious cap hits. They're all in right now, basically, with a lot of these contracts. They are all in right now. And again, you could, restructuring. There's people that say, the cap is broken, it's a myth, and maybe they got to tune it up a little bit with, how you're able to do things, but there's a negative side. So if they were to you can't just keep doing it. You can, but you don't want to. If you restructure this again, you clear most of this base salary next year, we'll say. We keep talking about this. You want to clear most of that, a chunk of that base salary, you can do it, but the difference will be spread out through the years, so it'll be more than a 21.4 cap hit, more than a 21.4 cap hit, more than the 3.4 right here. When he's not even playing for you, you add on top of it. And you can keep doing it, but you're going to have to keep digging yourself out of a hole, and you're going to keep creating giant cap hits in the future. So this is actually an interesting. It's got to work out. Daniel Jones just has to work out. It's so easy for it not to, though. That's the problem. Huge risk they took here. So I'm not like Kenny Golladay overall. Like the signing, I'm not a fan of that contract whatsoever. What are some other ones that might be pretty interesting? Let's see. I'm trying to see if there was one. I don't see him here. I was very curious about the Leonard Floyd. Typing in the search bar here. I was curious about this one because I know they backloaded. That's all I know. Yeah, we got some some big cap hits for Leonard Floyd here. 5.5 in year one. So, I mean, the Rams almost had to do that because they were negative cap space, but then you're getting 20. At least it's consistent, but you're getting some pretty big cap hits for Leonard Floyd here. You know, a guy, more or about the same as Bud Dupree in terms of the cap hits. If he's not playing well, you can get out of these years right here. I was surprised by this because the Rams were the team that would just get the next man up, acquire the next Leonard Floyd, a cheaper contract pass rusher because we're just going to make him look good and then we're going to get a compensatory pick. It just felt like the Rams' routine there, not to overspend at that position because we're making almost anybody look good, mainly with Aaron Donald with that defense. So I was surprised by that they actually valued Leonard Floyd to that degree, that much of a cap hit. So it essentially could be a 2-year deal. Some pretty big cap hits, $20 million cap hit next year for the Rams. When they're trying to, it almost feels like a small window for the Rams. They could be legit with Matthew Stafford, but they're trying to win within these years, and they got some serious cap hits there. So definitely another interesting one. Let's go back to the other page. I mean, we can look at so many, and we'll be here all day. But anybody else comment here on? Doesn't look like it. I did want to look at, maybe like a Trey Hendrickson versus Carl Lawson. If they'll load. Trey Hendrickson versus Carl Lawson because the Bengals moved on from Carl Lawson. He went to the Jets, and they got Trey Hendrickson. While those are still loading, we can look at, I can pull up some of these tight ends too. We can eventually look at Trey Hendrickson. Where's my pen? There it is. We got a 12.48 cap hit. Okay, so they didn't backload it really. I mean, technically they did, but it's pretty even there. Really, this could be a 1-year deal. It's a risky signing because, did his production come from him, getting better? A lot of obvious passing down situations. Sometimes, that production doesn't really stay the same. So it's a risky signing, but they laid the contract out like it was a risky signing here. So that was kind of good. Like, I would imagine they keep him in 2022 still, so they keep him through these years. If he's, the production just isn't there, he doesn't feel like the same guy as the Saints. He's only 26, he's getting better perhaps, but it's just not working out. You can save $10.5 million here in 2023, even more if you cut him before 2024. So I don't really like how they handled this situation, to begin with, because they were trying to get Carl Lawson back, and they didn't want to reach his per-year demands, I would assume, and then they kind of just gave it to Trey Hendrickson. So I didn't really like that. It felt like if they can get a redo, if they can get a redo, they may give Carl Lawson what he wanted. That's what I'm just making an assumption here. But so that I didn't like. But you look at the contract, it's actually a very, I want to say very solid, actually. The layout is solid, but I guess, is Hendrickson worth, maybe he won't be there in 2024. Is he even worth these numbers, even if he's playing at a somewhat solid level? Is he worth that? So that's kind of the downside. But the way they created this contract, it's somewhat smart. They just might have overpaid in general a little bit. They kind of went in panic mode. We just lost Carl Lawson. We got to get this guy. Just give him what he wants. It's kind of what it felt like. And you kind of compare to Carl Lawson, who went to the Jets, of course. And, yeah, it's really not backloaded. Just $1 million more in the back 2 years. This is a really good contract. I was actually, for some reason, I was expecting to see, I like Carl Lawson more. I thought he was worth more than Trey Hendrickson, but I was expecting, because the Bengals ended up with the same amount per year with Trey Hendrickson, I was expecting his contract to look way better, but I don't think it does. Even though it's better than I thought. This is good. It's a 2-year deal. You're locked in with Carl Lawson for 2 years for sure. Anyways, you want to be. This is a guy, even if he's kind of struggling a little bit, he's upside guy. He's 25 years old, but the age doesn't even matter with him. If you watch him play, was he an off the ball? Was he an edge rusher coming in as well? He's got upside. So you're locked in. If you get 0 sacks in 2021, you're still keeping him in 2022. If he's not performing by 2023 offseason, if he's really disappointing, then you cut him and you save everything but the $333,000. This is a phenomenal contract, in my opinion. I heard people, I haven't looked at the exact layout of the contract till now, right now. I've heard people talking about the Carl Lawson one wasn't laid out that well. I don't know who said that, where I saw that, but that is not the case here. This is very, very well done. Maybe the downside, if you could have snuck in another one of these years, a fourth year there, could have been a great, I don't think he would have accepted that though. That's a really good job of the Jets. I like that. Jonnu Smith, take a look at the 2 Patriots tight ends here. They made a bunch of moves, so they backloaded this one. Curious to see if they backloaded the Henry one. I don't know if I saw that one yet. Looked at so many contracts, so many cap numbers, figuring, doing the math, figuring them all out when it happened. I just can't even remember which is which at sometimes. It's essentially a 3-year deal. If he's playing well, it's a 4-year deal because you're not getting out of any of this. But he's 25 years old. It's a guy that even if he's not producing the way you thought, you're going to be keeping him and riding him out. He's a pretty big cap hits for a tight end. Again, he has upsides. Tight ends are kind of the mismatched tight ends like himself are kind of taking over. There's a pretty big cap hits, and the reason being is that first year is very small. Did the Patriots need to do that? Did they need to do that? That's kind of the question there. Very curious to see Hunter Henry. If they did the same exact thing for him, they did. I don't know about that. One or the other here. But let's take a look, though, before we judge. Essentially a 2-year deal. I kind of wish, let's see. Yeah, you'd save the 10.5 if you cut him before 2023. I don't plan on, I don't think they plan on cutting him, obviously. I wish they would have, I wish they wouldn't have backloaded. Was it necessary to backload them both? I don't think it was necessary to do both like that. Some major tight end. 2022, 15 plus 13, we're almost getting close to 30 million cap hit from tight ends. 2023, you're getting 30 million cap hit. Is that more than that? I can't do the math top of my head. 2023, a little more than a 30 million cap hit for your tight ends. I was a fan of these pickups. I think getting these tight ends bigger than people think, it's going to impact them for sure, make them better. It's a lot of money they invested. I was surprised they backloaded both, especially when I don't know if they really needed to, because they were very healthy in terms of the cap space number. They had plenty of it, and Gilmore extension coming up. That's going to be future cap hits. Interesting decision there. Not sure if I'm, neither are like terrible, but having both like that, definitely interesting. While we're on the Patriots, you might as well take a look at Matt Judon. I don't think Dory Jackson doesn't have the cap hit numbers yet, so there's no point of clicking on him. Take a look at Shaq Griffin. I don't want to be here all day. Yannick Ngakoue is another one we definitely want to look at. We could do another one of these videos, but though I don't know if they have every single one on here. And we got a bad gateway for Matthew Judon. There we go. All right, Judon. Backloaded. Patriots and Giants. Backloaded the doom out of these contracts. Good thing is it could be a 2-year. Look, if he's struggling, you can get out these years. Like we've been talking about. A lot of these are pretty similar. Pretty big. Yeah, they're fair cap hits, I guess. Yeah, I don't really mind this one. Judon, though, you kind of wonder, was he kind of Raven scheme dependent? We're going to find out. If he was, this isn't going to be good. But, it's like backloaded in a way where it's really not because it's only 6.375 in the first year, so you'd think it would be crazy backloaded. But these numbers in here, they're pretty consistent, and those are pass rusher numbers, maybe a little more than you want for Matthew Judon, and you can get out after 2 years if you have to. So don't really mind that one, but I'm surprised. I want to know what their cap numbers are like in the future. Man, they got some big hits coming. Shaq Griffin went to the Jaguars, young corner. He's only 25. There's a lot of upside, more upside there than William Jackson, I guess you could say. Backloaded 5.875, but we got consistent numbers in 2022. Essentially a 2-year deal. The downside is, these are pretty big numbers. These are pretty big numbers for Shaq Griffin, for cornerback in general, in my opinion. I'm not a big fan of drafting corners early unless they're like sure thing, like elite prospect. I'd rather pay the established corners. Is Shaquille Griffin established, though? Probably not. He's only 25. I don't mind this one. It's really essentially a 2-year deal, but with a guy like this, you probably want it to be a longer deal. I don't mind this one for the Jags. I'm just surprised about the Patriots and the Giants, the way they backloaded some of those wild. They're going to be hurting in the future. Raiders, I like this contract at first glance, $13 million per year. For Yannick Ngakoue, I think it's a pretty damn good deal. I just want him to stick with the team, and then he can get in his groove. I think he will. This is just straightforward. It's just $13 million cap hit both years. And then the dead cap doesn't matter in year one because you're not cutting them or trading them. So the dead cap does not matter in year one for any of these. And then, there's really no reason they should cut. They're not going to cut him, and there shouldn't be any reason that it would be good to cut him. So 2-year deal, pretty straightforward, $13 million. I like this deal a lot. This is one of my favorite deals of, it's nothing unique or like you can't really. I think they got a pretty good steal here with Yannick Ngakoue. Like that deal very much. Can take a look at Corey Linsley. We didn't look at Shaq Barrett. Definitely interesting what the Buccaneers did there. We're looking at a lot of these. Again, some of these I don't. Dory Jackson don't have the cap hit. We'll take a look at. Probably got to draw the line. I don't think we have Curtis Samuel. We don't have the Curtis Samuel numbers here. Ronald Darby signing confused me, so we'll take a look at that. And that might be where we end this one. If this ends up being a popular video, people want more, we can take a look at some other ones. Corey Linsley. I don't get why they This is one of those ones where I don't get why they backload this. I don't get why 6.6 in year one, but then you go down to 11, 13, 14, 17. I don't. What I was talking about earlier, teams backloaded contracts or teams restructured deals. I don't think the Chargers restructured any deals, but either or, they did it so they can make moves now. They can save space for now, and it's okay hurting the future as long as it's mission accomplished here. But it wasn't for the Chargers. They've missed on some guys. They haven't really built this team like I wanted them to, in free agency, So this might be a fail of a backloading. You get a solid center here, maybe the best in football, but you had cap space. You had cap space. You did not need to backload it. The only reason you do need to backload it is if you are going hard for some big time players. You're spending the rest of that cap. That's the only way, and there's no arguing with that. That's the only way it makes sense. And they backload it, and they missed on some. Maybe they're going to add some of these second wave free agents. We'll see. I don't think this would be a guy that you cut. Even if he's not playing as well as he was with the Packers, like I don't think you're going to find a better center. It's kind of hard, and you don't want to value it high in the draft or anything like that. Pretty big cap hits down here. Okay with the 13s. A pretty big 17's ridiculous. If you do cut him, though, you clear everything but the 2.6 dead cap. If you want to find a cheaper center there in 2025, he's gonna be 34 years old, but the centers play for a long time. Wish they would have just cut it off here with the 4-year deal. To be honest, because that cap hits. He could still be good, but then you got to pay him that 17.1. You take a pay cut. Do you create void years? So. I'm not really thrilled with this one. I don't. The only way the backloading for a team that had cap space makes sense. I think they thought they were going to get Hunter Henry back maybe, and they were going to get other guards. It's the risk. It's a risk. It's hard. It's a very hard job. That's where being a general manager in that staff is very hard because you got to gamble, and it's kind of a bad gamble when you do something like this because you hurt your future. For what should be big time players right now, they didn't really get that. They didn't really do that. So free agency still alive. Maybe they make more of a run here. Shaq Barrett, we know they backloaded this one. We got $5 million cap hits in the first year. Yeah, this is perfectly good with this. Big numbers. Similar to the Bud Dupree one, I thought, in terms of the impact it makes on the cap, roster management. It's a guy that's, I think, still getting better. He's going to be 30. He's going to be up there, I guess, but he's kind of feels like he's just getting better. 32 in his last year. Here's a void year. So this year right here, which is 2025, he will actually be a free agent that offseason, but they're still going to have a 3.75 dead cap. They did it for a good reason, though. They did it so they can limit this $5 million cap hit this year and get the other guys back. Otherwise, it wasn't possible. The Buccaneers had to pull that off, and they did, and it worked out for them because they got their guys back they wanted to. If he's not working out, I mean, you should know the drill by now. If you've been watching this video, you can save the difference between these two, different even more here. If for some reason it's not working out, these are big cap hits. Shaq Barrett is huge impact for that defense. Feels like he's getting better. I think he's worth those cap hits. So you would think it's kind of just like the Bud Dupree. You would think because that first number is so low that most time these numbers would be more than his value, but they're really not. So this is another phenomenal job by the Buccaneers. No surprise there. Romeo Okwara got $37 million. What was his $13 million a year, around that range? The Lions kind of confused me a little bit with because they when you restructure deals, you push money back or you sign guys and you have the limited cap. I know they even created some void years on some guys. They created a void year here, so here it is again. This is a void year, 2024. He's not playing for them on that year, and they will have that 3.5 cap hit, and he's a free agent that year. So there's the void year. I don't really agree with the Lions doing the void year deals and backloading things because, do you want to get better now? And they've had some good signings, or are you a team of the future? It feels like they're one of those teams that really can't make up their mind if they're a rebuild team or if they're a win now team. Some of these moves are win now. So, okay, go win now. Go do that. They've made some solid moves. They could do a little more, though. So I don't know. I don't think the void year was necessary. You saved $3.5 million. Was it necessary to save the $3.5 million? Yeah, and on top of that, you save more this year by backloading it and getting, overall, I don't really agree with that approach for the Lions, but I think this is a pretty good contract, though. So really, Romeo Okwara and his contract don't really have to do with that in a way. I don't really agree with the way they did things there. They're kind of half in rebuild, half not. I think the Bears are kind of that way too. Two NFC North teams are kind of like that. But overall, I think it's a pretty good contract because, again, you have such a small cap hit in year one, so you would expect him to be overpaid cap hit-wise in the future. But I don't think 14.5, that's not an overpay, in my opinion. He's kind of been – he hasn't had too many good years, but I like his game, so I'm okay with that for him. And then Ronald Darby, last one. Again, we can make another one of these videos if it's requested. If it's maybe it won't be a popular video, so that's kind of a waste of time. But Ronald Darby, I wasn't a big fan of the deal. Was he worth $10 million per year on average? I didn't really like the fit, mainly coming from. He finally stayed healthy and he played pretty well in a cover 3 scheme. That is not Vic Fangio's scheme. That's just a fact. So they see something there. But again, I didn't really like with the $10 million per year, but the contract could say something different. And I think people have kind of been saying that on Twitter. Well, he's $10 million per year, but he's only $4 million cap hit in year one. Doesn't really mean it's a good thing. People are kind of looking into the first year cap hits. It's a good thing for this year, $4 million cap hit. Let's take a look at the other years. I haven't looked at these other years yet. Now I am. Yes, this is a very good example where people are wrong, thinking it's a better contract than expected just because of the year one cap hit. Because I kind of not liking it because Darby in this scheme, is he worth $10 million? And people come and say to me, it's only $4 million cap hit this year. But that mean I didn't like him at $10 million, so how the hell am I going to like him at $13 million? They're locked into that. It's 15.5 dead cap. They're locked into that. The good news is it could essentially be a 2-year deal. If they cut him, he's not working out. They save $10 million. They save everything but $3 million off of that 13. So that is $10 million they save. They get back in the 10 per year. But I'm not really a fan of this one. The contract isn't terrible, but given that I wasn't really a big fan of the signing in the first place, secondary's looking good. His pass rush is good. He may look better than he is. He's a cornerback too on the outside. He may play well. I'm not saying he's not going to play well necessarily. But this is a very good example when people are kind of applauding teams too much, for just that 1 year cap hit. $10 million per year, but he's only a $4 million cap hit. No, but he's a $13 million cap hit in year 2, way overpaid. I thought $10 million was overpaid. I like the Broncos team though. I like the roster, love the defense. Fangio guy for sure. Healthy, it's going to be damn good. Ronald Darby be playing better than where I view him as. It's just that's kind of cornerbacks to me though. Like if you got a good front seven, a really good defense, you got that star safety in the back end with Justin Simmons, you got Kyle Fuller. I know that happened after Darby. You don't really need to overspend or get desperate for cornerbacks because you almost can put a guy, around Darby's talent level that's a lot cheaper out there, and he'll be just fine just because we have in front of him. So, but at the same time, I also don't love drafting, valuing corners, especially when you have that defense inside the top 10. So I'm glad they won't be picking, maybe they won't, at 9. So you can argue that either way. We're going to wrap that up now. Again, we can look at more of these. You guys can look yourself. Again, Spot Rack, Spo Track. I don't know how you say the website. Very cool. We're always talking cap hits and numbers when the details come out right away on Twitter, so make sure you follow that. Link for anything you need in the comment section. Please subscribe. All kinds of free agency content, NFL draft content, a lot of it starting next week, early next week. I'm shooting for recent mock draft up. But that's going to do it. Thanks, everyone, for watching. Goodbye.